Hello everybody and welcome to MBKB Talks, and this one is titled Interviewing Champs to Championing Clients with the amazing Jack Heather, who is the actual client relationship manager for MBKB. He first started with us as a business development executive and then recently been promoted, but before helping employers find the right apprenticeship solutions, he'd already made his mark in the fast-paced world of sports journalism.
He's written for the Star, Shropshire Star, and Boxing Scene, covering everything from Premier League predictions to title fight interviews, from ringside reporting to chatting with English middleweight champion Tyler Dennett after his big win. Jack knows how to ask the right questions and tell a great story. That same energy now drives his success with MBKB, building strong, lasting relationships with employers. Welcome, Jack.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Today's conversation covers a lot of ground. We'll be talking about career transitions, the influence of sport, and what it means to build relationships that last.
We'll also be exploring how Jack transitioned from the world of journalism and leaped into apprenticeships, and also what he brings to the table in the new CRM role and how this background gives him a bit of a unique edge.
Then we'll dig into the mindset sport builds, the power of long-term strategy, and wrap it all up with a bit of reflection and the Empower Hour.
So yeah, whether you're here to learn or just to listen to a cracking story, I'm sure we've got something for you all.
Jack, let's kick things off. Can you tell us a bit about your first job and what it was and what lessons did you learn from it?
Yeah, I think my first job was actually a trainee quantity surveyor. It was a negative experience, all things considered, but with a lot of lessons in there for sure. I think the biggest one is probably learning what a workplace shouldn't be like. It definitely left me a bit disillusioned at the time because it's your first job as a 17-year-old. You kind of presume that's what all work in life is like. But obviously since then, I'm sure we'll touch on it in a little bit, but working for MBKB's taught me the flip side of that. So yeah, it was an experience I enjoyed all in. The job itself was something I was interested in and did really enjoy. But yeah, all things considered, it was a negative experience, but yeah, a lot of lessons for sure.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that was quite a high pressure sort of job. I'm assuming being a quantity surveyor, but did working in sort of as well, it sort of ties up nicely with working in sports media because that's quite high pressure as well. And sort of environments like that, do they shape the way you sort of handle feedback and sort of fast paced changes of what the clients need today? Do you reckon?
I think so for sure. Yeah, I think it's just a little bit so thin, including your personal life, that helps me with that stuff. Being able to deal with confrontation and people who had negative experience. Yeah, I think it definitely helps for sure. And just learn to treat people in different ways depending on what they're like as people.
Definitely, yeah.
How did your early work experiences shape how you now approach professional relationships and teamwork?
Yeah, I think teamwork specifically is a big one. I'm sure we'll get onto it in a little bit, but I've also always played in sports teams as well. So that's something you always pick up on. But in work specifically, it's different because within an organisation, people are obviously doing different roles, which is different to playing in the sports teams where everyone's kind of pushing towards the same goal as a group. So it's a little bit different getting used to that and just dealing with different characters as well in the workplace. You're going to come across some people you get on really well with, others you don't so much. And I think it's just getting comfortable, being okay with that. That's completely fine. You can not get on with someone that well, but still work really well as a team together. So
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, just jumping back to some of these stuff within your hobbies and sports interviews and stuff like that, out of all of the interviews you've done, which one would you say has really sort of stuck with you as a bit of a proud moment or a bit of a career highlight within that?
yeah, I think it would probably be the first big spread I had in a newspaper, which was a Tyler Denny interview. Must have been a slow news day because I had quite a big chunk of the paper, which was really cool. And I remember my granddad going to the shop and buying a few copies of the paper,
Wow.
which was really sweet. So that was a really cool moment for sure. And because it was the first, I wasn't really accustomed to that yet. So
Yeah.
seeing your name in the newspaper, which is my local newspaper, one I would have read as a kid. So that was a proper cool moment for sure.
I can imagine, yeah. Was it something, a path you maybe looked at going down when you was like sort of coming out of school? Was that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've spoke about this previously. But I think because I got half decent results at GCSE, I think the stereotypical route to take is, okay, go and do your A levels then. And I think my family kind of pushed me towards that, and I probably pushed myself towards it a little bit subconsciously. So yeah, I went down that route and just didn't really enjoy it, to be honest. And I'm sure we'll get onto it in a little bit. That's why I kind of champion apprenticeships a lot now, because I think it's a really good alternative route to take, as A levels aren't for everyone, no matter kind of what results you get at GCSE level.
Yeah, it's very true.
You felt like it was like an expectation to go and get the A levels and then go to uni and all that.
Yeah, exactly. I think it is a stereotype, isn't it? And I think it's the wrong one, but that was definitely my mindset of that age, being, okay, I got these results, I can get in, so let's do it. Yeah. Whereas it doesn't really make sense looking back on it now, but...
And I think, like, at that point, I don't know if you were the same, but I didn't really know much about other apprenticeships. I always kind of thought they were more like tradesman apprenticeships and stuff like that. And so you don't necessarily know that was a route available because it's not told.
Absolutely. Well, it's simply not spoken about enough, is it? And that's what we try to do in our roles, is get that out there. Because, as we said, that traditional route isn't for everyone. And an apprenticeship doesn't have to be a trade, being an electrician or a plumber, for example. It can be literally anything, so it's just spreading that message.
I think people are definitely now in today's society are seeing more the benefits of apprenticeships compared to A levels, especially with people who are in university and stuff like that, who are actually struggling to get jobs and stuff like that. Whereas within apprenticeships, you've got a job and you're also learning, which is just a massive benefit.
Absolutely, and I think the most beneficial part of my personal experience when I went to university was the work experience bits. Yeah. Which I found on myself, off my own back. So if you're doing that whilst getting paid in full-time employment, I think the benefits of that would be huge. So
100%. Yeah. 100%.
Obviously, sport is like one of your main loves in life.
Yeah.
Who would you say is your all-time sporting hero and why?
Oh, just one. That's really difficult. I think two that shout out straight away are Tiger Woods and Rafael Nadal. I think obviously I'm a huge football fan, but I think football tends to be quite tribal. So having that affection for one player is really difficult. So yeah, I'd say Rafa Nadal, when he won Wimbledon for the first time, I think I was 7. I remember watching it with my mum. So that was a really cool moment. And I got into tennis off the back of that. And Tiger Woods as well. I think not just myself, but I think millions of kids from different socio-economic backgrounds are playing golf now that would have never done pre-Tiger Woods in the 90s. So to have that effect on a sport and transcend it like he did. So if I had to pick one, I'd probably go for Tiger. Yeah.
That's a great choice.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Like you said, like he literally opened the door for anybody to be able to play golf, and that is amazing.
Absolutely. And when he first was winning tournaments as an amateur, he wasn't allowed in the clubhouses because he was black.
Wow.
And he was turning up, and off the back of that changed it from an old white man sport to a lot more accessible for everyone now, which I think is a really cool thing to have done. So
for sure.
No, that's great. That's great. I mean, just on the subject of sport as well, is there any sports that you've maybe you're sort of obsessed with watching, but you've dared to try because it's just a bit too out there, or?
I've done everything, to be honest, mate. As a kid, my week used to be sport. My mum and dad were really big on letting me try everything and making sure I did. So, yeah, there's nothing that I'm interested in that I didn't want to pursue. But yeah, even stuff I'm not that interested now, like rugby. I'm not a massive fan of rugby. Apologies for anyone that really loves rugby. It's just not for me. But I even did that as a kid and played for a team. So, yeah.
Tried it all.
Yeah, tried it all, yeah. Some more successful than others, but...
That's cool. Are there any other unexpected hobbies that you have aside from sport?
Loved spending time with friends and family. I know that's a really boring answer, but outside of sport specifically, probably not, to be honest. I do, and I'm sure we'll touch on this in a little bit, I do enjoy my work, which I think is really beneficial and helpful, especially being in our role where you have to really champion something and speak to a lot of people. I think being relatively passionate about that subject is really important, because otherwise I think it could become very mundane, which it hasn't as of yet, so that's always a good thing, I suppose.
Great stuff, yeah. So, I mean, getting into the more serious side of things, work life, stuff like that. Obviously, you recently moved from a BDE to the CRM role. Now, what was the sort of transition like for you? Did you find it hard? Was it easy? How have you found it so far?
Yeah, I think it's just getting used to speaking to a certain genre of clients. The clients I'm speaking to more now tend to have specific needs and wants, whereas you'll know from being in the business development role, every client and every call's completely different.
Yeah.
Whereas I think it's more now about honing my skills for one specific aspect and dealing with the challenges that come with that, rather than being flexible to everyone and their needs. So it's something I've really enjoyed. I'm really looking forward to the next 18 months or so and really getting my teeth stuck into it. So yeah, I think it will be beneficial for me as well. I'm always willing to learn and grow as a person, both personal and in work. So yeah, I just want to continue to build on what I've done so far, really.
Great stuff, yeah. You're doing a great job so far. So,
Sure. What would you say were some of the biggest shifts in responsibility or mindset that came with stepping into your new role?
I think, to be honest, probably from an internal standpoint, it's dealing with other people in the team. Obviously, within my role now, I have the freedom to go in and speak to other people's clients and see if I can just help in that area at all and make the experience even more seamless for the employers than it already has been. So it's dealing with those relationships internally and making sure as a team we're working towards one common goal, rather than me just kind of going off on my own and doing my own thing. So we have a really good team in the business development area. So I think it's just speaking to people and being comfortable with having those difficult conversations up front. I think having them conversations up front makes everything easier for everyone involved, really.
definitely, yeah. I mean, what was it that sort of made this new position feel like the right next step for you, do you think, with it within your career?
I think I was just ready for it. I would like to think I'd done a decent job so far in my previous role. So I was just ready for the next step. And as I said, I'm always wanting to grow and learn. And obviously I'm blessed at MBKB to have Adam, who's my line manager, who's really supportive. And I'm sure we'll talk about this when we come on to apprenticeships, but having a line manager that's supportive is so crucial to you as an individual.
Definitely.
And when you feel like they're actively engaged in your growth in the workforce, I think that's really, really helpful. I mean, as I talked about to start with, I've had the flip side of that as well, where someone couldn't care less. So yeah, I think that's absolutely massive. And just feeling comfortable, asking for support, and knowing that you want to build on your career and you want to progress, but recognising that you probably don't have the skills right now in this moment to do that. So just learning off people, being a sponge and continuing to grow, really.
Definitely, yeah.
I like
that is-
that, being a sponge, just
Yeah.
absorbing everything around you.
Absolutely,
every
yeah.
information you need.
I think especially in the industry and the business we work, there's so many different experts in different areas of the business. I think it's amazing when we have sales calls and ask the program leads to come on. I'll learn something new every single time, which
Definitely.
it's brilliant, isn't it? And listening to people who are so passionate about what they do is always absolutely fantastic, no matter what the subject is.
Yeah.
Like for us as BDEs, we can always talk about the programs, but the ones who can really sell their program as the program leaders, that's all they do 24/7. That is their main focus. So I feel like, yeah, they could definitely sell the program the best, I suppose.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of strengths in your role, would you say that there's anything from your journalism background that you've now brought into your CRM role?
Yeah, I think the main one really is just a generic one, and that's being personable and speaking to different people, kind of being a bit of a chameleon in stepping into different rooms and different atmospheres and just telling that vibe straight away and adapting to it. I think that's probably the main thing. Being a reporter and walking into boxing gyms can be a little bit daunting at times, especially when people are in the midst of a 12-week camp and are eating 800 calories a day. They tend to be a bit aggy. So yeah, I think that's definitely one, just being comfortable with people pushing back on certain issues. I think ultimately, as the sales team, when we have a client being difficult, it's just recognising that they're just doing their jobs ultimately to make sure we're the right fit. And I feel really confident in most cases that we are, so it's easy to back that up. So just staying calm and composed and going back into those conversations with a clear head, really.
Yeah. Have you found like sort of your style of building sort of like a rapport and trust has sort of evolved since you've moved into this new role? Has it stayed pretty consistent throughout because you know that it works?
I think I'm constantly adapting, to be honest, even if that's learning off the rest of the business development team, other people within the business, and just constantly learning on what works for them, what works for me. I know that's going to be slightly different, but I think you can take parts of everyone. And when I first started the role as a business development executive, that was one thing I was really big on, listening to other people's sales calls and just hearing how they approach it. Each of them did it completely differently, and I'd like to think I've taken a few little nuggets from each to try and blend into my own style. So yeah, I think it's just constantly being adaptive. By no means am I the perfect salesman and finished product, but I think recognising that's a good thing, to be honest, and not going into anything with any ego, just be willing to learn constantly.
Definitely. That's very true, yeah, definitely.
I think nothing's ever perfect either, is it? So, like, do you know what I mean? Your approach has to change per person that you're speaking to as well. So,
Yeah.
knowing that and adapting every time you do a call, I think is brilliant. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there's no perfect salesman. Two different salesmen, one really successful, one not so, will have different levels of success with two completely different clients, because there's not a perfect method or recipe for it. It just depends on the client, what you're selling, and their needs, really. So you have to be constantly adapting to what's required.
100%, yeah.
What would you say makes MBKB's approach to employer partnerships unique?
I think it's just a genuine flexibility. So I'd like to think we work around employers rather than the other way around. We purposefully limit caseloads to make sure we can maintain that industry-renowned teaching learning. So I think it's just, there is a balancing act, because obviously as a business we want to get starts on programme, but to run successfully as a business as well, we have to recognise that if we can give the tutors the best chance to succeed and deliver real impactful teaching learning, that will benefit us in the long run. So I think it makes our jobs really easy, the way the business is set up, to go out and sell that almost, because it's not sales, it's the truth.
Yeah.
We are confident that we can deliver on what we promise, so that definitely makes our jobs a lot easier. I don't know how comfortable I would feel being in our roles, going out and selling something that I didn't believe in. So I think that's really important and makes everything a lot easier from our point of view, for sure.
Yeah, like having the belief in the tutors that they're the best.
Yeah.
And the program leads and everybody else. It's like, we are selling the best.
Yeah.
Basically.
Exactly, and we've got so many unique selling points as a business. It's quite hard not to be able to sell, I suppose.
Yeah, and our tutors are fab, and ultimately they're the bedrock of the business, aren't they? Because they're the one delivering the teaching and learning, and they're all absolutely fantastic. And as I say, the main thing is passionate about what they're teaching, which is really important. So
For sure.
Definitely, yeah. So, skipping back a little bit just to sporting, is there any sort of specific sporting memory, would you say, or moment that really pushes you to keep going on and pressures you to sort of rally on, really?
yeah, I think lots of personal ones in my head. I'm probably not going to tell any, because I know they won't sound as cool as they do to me. But yeah, from an outside perspective, I think there's lots of ones, lots of football memories. I'm a massive Wolves fan and got a season ticket, so I could reel off 10 throughout the years. But I think really it's just the literal aspect of sport. Everything that you tell yourself on a daily basis within business, picking yourself up, starting again, dealing with failure, that's literal in sport. That's exactly what you have to do. So I think it's just taking the metaphors from that and applying it in your own life.
Yeah, so that's just quite true, actually. Yeah, I think it is. It's just the difference between business and sport is it's sort of mentally, I suppose, within business, but within sport, like you say, it's a lot more physical, isn't it? So
yeah, absolutely. There definitely is that mental overlap there, for sure. Like, some of my hardest experiences have been within sports, because if you're failing, you are failing, and I think and you get comfortable with that as well, because especially as we've mentioned before about golf specifically, you're failing every time you hit a shot, pretty much, and it's just getting used to that and feeling confident in your own ability that you can bounce back and improve on it. Failure's really the best thing that can happen to someone, especially within my working life and personal life. There's so many things I look back on and think, oh, I'd have done that differently. But if I did, I wouldn't have learned from it. So I'd have probably made a different mistake along the road anyway. So yeah, it's just getting used to failure and learning from it, really.
For sure. I think you need those like setbacks in order to move forward. Otherwise, you just won't. You'll be stuck in the same position if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from our work in the sales team, when we first started, how many poor sales calls did you have when you come off and go, that didn't go great, I'd do that a bit differently now. But you need that to be able to learn. No one's perfect at anything straight away. It just takes time and constantly learning. And you're going to make different mistakes in the future. So it's just getting comfortable with that. And I think a big thing is as well, not worrying until the mistake happens.
Yeah. And not being disheartened by the mistake either. Taking the lessons on board and then just applying them to your next call to better yourself, really.
Absolutely. And I think that goes for everything, not just work, for your own personal life as well.
100%, yeah, 100%.
Sure. While we're still on the like sporting line, if you could pick one sport that best sums up your approach to perhaps life or leadership, what would it be?
I think it would have to be boxing, to be honest, because I think, as I mentioned earlier, it's literal. So everything you talk about in life, in I don't know, throwing in the towel, saved by the bell, standing 8 count, picking yourself up off the floor, all of those are literal. So, and as we've mentioned loads regarding other stuff, the failure of it, and just constantly learning. Ultimately, when you're boxing and you're sparring, for example, if you make a mistake, you're getting punished for it straight away. So you're learning constantly. It's so fast, that cycle, and that's something I really enjoy.
Interesting. Yeah. Jumping on to sort of your goals and ambitions and stuff like that, what does the future look like for you at the moment then, and in terms of obviously both your career and your personal goals as well? And have you got any sort of ambitions or any areas that like you'd like to explore next, or either with or beyond MBKB? Sorry.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed my time at MBKB so far, and I think the big reasons that I've enjoyed it is there's room to grow as an individual and progress through the business. So I'm really keen on continuing to do that. And as we mentioned earlier, just being a sponge and learning from all the different characters and people within the business. So I think that's really important. I haven't got an end goal, to be honest, of somewhere I want to get to. I think it's more just enjoying the slow progression along the way and learning from different things every 6 months or so, and looking back at where you were 6 months ago to where you are now, rather than thinking that's where I want to get to. Because I've always found, for me personally, when I set myself something like that, it always seems really far away to be able to reach that. So I think it's just taking it one step at a time. And if I'm saying I'm developing every 6 months, who knows where I might be in 3-4 years time. So yeah, it's just getting used to that and being comfortable with it, I guess.
Away, I suppose, and just keep bettering yourself every day.
Absolutely, yeah. Every day is a new day.
Exactly. Tell me about it.
I think having that mindset of like, do you know what I mean, you're in the now rather than thinking about the future, I think that's really good as well. Just in like life in general, because I think we do have a habit of being like, oh, well, I'm going to do this then, I'll do that then. And you're like, well, when is then?
Absolutely.
Like, just do it now.
Yeah, I think we all have a tendency to do that as well. Like, even in terms of goals, like ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be an adult. And now, when I was an adult, then I wanted to be earning this much money, and then I wanted to have a family, I wanted to do this. Whereas sometimes it's just enjoying the here and now and being present. So, but I'm saying that it's difficult.
It's difficult to do. It's so important. I saw a quote actually on TikTok, like a little video about that, and it was like, you need to focus. You're always constantly wishing your life away. You wanted to be an adult, like you said, when you was a child, and then you grow up, you're an adult, and you just want to get a house and then you want to get a family, and you need to be enjoying the moment now, because you're only going to be looking back and just thinking, oh, well, I wish I was that age again. But you wished it away then, so it's like,
Absolutely. And whenever you speak to people who are potentially a little bit older than us, they will say exactly the same thing, that it goes by in a flash. So, yeah. Yeah,
I saw one recently, like similar to that, and it was like, and I mean, it's kind of sad, but it's like the life you're building, the future you're building, you might not be a part of it. Yeah. And you don't know that. Like, so being in the now, I think, is so important. for sure.
Absolutely. Got a very philosophical, haven't
I
we?
know, yes. If you weren't in this role, what do you think you'd be doing instead?
I think now I'd probably be doing something salesy related, something I really enjoy and get a bit of a buzz off it. Obviously landing the client, but also just supporting someone as well. And I think ultimately with what we're selling, it is having a positive impact on the business. So it's not a product, it is a service, I guess, but we're having a positive impact on someone's personal development. So I think that's a really important thing to remember, that we're not selling used cars, we're selling experience basically, and passing that on through the tutors. So I think that really helps, and I think long term now it's something I'd like to continue doing within this industry. So I don't know in the future, as I mentioned before, where that'll lead me to, but I'm not too concerned at the minute, to be honest. I just wait and see what happens.
Nothing beats that feeling when you get a start, or when you get like a client, or you can get somebody onto a program that they've wanted to get on. I remember somebody who's really wanted to be on a HR program before, and the manager was sort of had a little bit of pushback, didn't want to put them on it. We managed to get them on it, and the learner was so pleased. And just that feeling when you get them on the program that they've wanted to go on, it's like, yeah, it's rewarding, I must say.
I think we also deal with some really fab people, the learning development managers at different businesses or head of apprenticeships, because they're in that role, because they're also really passionate about 100%. their employees' personal development. So yeah, it's bearing that in mind and just having those conversations with them for the most part. Although we're in a sales team, it's not really that salesy, is it? It's more speaking to people and seeing how we can support. So
100%. If you were to land any client or project, what is the top one that you would be aiming to go for at the moment, or top client or goal of yours within your CRM role?
I think from a pure vanity perspective, it would be something really big that I'm interested in. So I don't know, Sky Sports or something like that, or a football team. I know we already work with a few Premier League teams, so something like that from a vanity point of view. But to be honest, from a general team standpoint, I don't think it matters too much specifically. But as you say, dream scenario, let's say Wolves might get some commercial perks, so let's go with that.
Yeah, somebody tag Wolves in the comments below.
We'll do your apprenticeship. What's one skill or area that you'd love to develop more now that you're in this role?
I think the managing side of it and learning how to deal with different people. As I said, I think my line manager Adam is brilliant, so it's just being a sponge again and learning a bit about that. It's never really something I've aspired to be, a leader or a manager in any aspect, to be honest, but as I learn more about it, I do find it intriguing, and just how to be supportive, to be honest. I think looking back at that first job experience I had, which was a negative one, learning how detrimental it can be to have a bad support system in place. So creating a positive one, I think, is a really important thing, and maybe something I'd look to do in the future. But yeah, I'd definitely say the leadership and management side of a business is something that's intrigued me more as I've got a little bit older, for sure.
No, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
I think also, like, then you're gonna find yourself, because you're trying to improve and you want to be in these roles, and maybe sometimes when people end up being managers that maybe necessarily shouldn't be a manager, like your old manager, for instance.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll be better in a managerial role because you didn't necessarily think, oh, I'll do that to start with.
Yeah.
You built up your experience to get them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you don't realise bad management until you've had good management, and vice versa. You don't realise good management until you've had bad management. It's just having the experiences of both is really beneficial, because ultimately you just see how you'd like to be treated and how you'd like to be spoke to, and then you can recognise how you need to speak to people. And I think working within a business such as ours as well, where there is a little bit of pressure in certain aspects, it's just dealing with that and not passing that on to other people, making sure that the pressures that's on you deal with internally, before you then pass that on to other people, because the last thing you want is you're feeling a bit of pressure, so you pass that on and apply that pressure to people within your team or within the business or external. And I think that goes for personal life as well. I've always been very keen on, if you had a bad day at work, and you come home, and that probably comes from personal experiences as well, that as soon as you get home, that's
Switch off.
done. Yeah, which I think is so important, because otherwise you're just going to be in your own head constantly. And when has a problem ever been solved by you spending your night thinking about it? So
Exactly.
yeah.
Looking ahead then, so what's sort of your ideal vision for how the CRM role is going to evolve, and what's your sort of aspect on it in the future, really?
Yeah, I think it's just continue to collaborate with some of our most important employers and the team internally as well, to work out what they need from us for the most part. I think I'm still in the process of finding out exactly what that is. Obviously continuing to reach out to people and speak to more employers regarding that. But I'd like to just learn more from employers, so if anyone wants to get in touch, feel free. Just to find out a little bit more about what they want within the industry, the pressure points, what hasn't worked for their team in the past in regards to apprenticeships, and what has, and just continuing to build on that, really. Especially within the team internally as well, if there's anything that we can change to make sure we deliver a better experience for apprentices. I think the business as a whole is always welcome to that. So if I can highlight any areas, I think that would be really beneficial.
Yeah, that sounds great. Good ideas. Yeah.
Jack, you're the client relationship manager. What would you say that are our unique selling points, and how would you say that improves the experience for the apprentices?
I think the main one is genuine flexibility. I think within the world of apprenticeships, you have to recognise that ultimately the learner's work life and their personal life comes first, and we're almost third in that pecking order, which is completely fine. So yeah, I think the genuine flexibility would provide, working around learners' teams and their deadlines and commitments they have within work and personal life. So definitely being flexible around that. I'd say structured flexibility as well, which is something we offer here at MBKB, that essentially allows learners to enhance their programme by adding in up to 3 modules from any of our other apprenticeships. I think that's really beneficial because, as we all know, no role is as it says on the tin. Everything has different aspects to it and different roles and responsibilities depending on the business. So I think if you're working within the world of HR, but you also have some leadership and management responsibilities as well, being able to do a HR apprenticeship, which is your traditional career pathway, but also embed some modules in that you feel passionate about and interested in, just for your personal development, is really, really beneficial. And then I also just think the quality of our tutors as well, just speaking to them, hearing their passion for their subjects, I feel really confident that they'd provide an excellent service for their learners. So as we talked about earlier, it makes our job really easy, to be honest, going out and talking to employers and apprentices about that specifically, because I feel really confident in what we do.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah, I must say, when you're on the call and you sort of, it's essentially sort of selling MBKB really, but you're just telling people what we offer. It's like they're like, wow, it's something that they're not really experiencing from what I gather from other providers so far, especially the wide range of flexibility we give. It's definitely quite a unique selling point, I must say.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to plenty of employers where their experience with apprenticeships has been rigid and structured, and I just think in the real world that doesn't work for employers, and definitely not for learners. So I think, although it sometimes puts a little bit more strain on us as a business to do things that specific way, I think it's 100% the right way to do things. And as I say, it makes our jobs a hell of a lot easier going out and saying that.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
And like having the structured flexibility that we do have,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that option to just pick, oh, I want to do that module from that course and that module and bring it all into your course. I think that's one of the best things that we've offered, really.
Absolutely, yeah. Because although they're structured pathways for the different apprenticeship standards, as we mentioned, none of them are going to be 100% specific to their job role. Even if it's within payroll and they're a payroll administrator and they're doing the payroll administrator apprenticeship, there's always going to be other roles and responsibilities that they have within their business.
Great point. So, moving on then, talking about reflections and advice, what's the most valuable lesson you reckon you've learned whilst working at MBKB so far, would you say?
I think within our specific roles, patience, just being there for a client and supporting them throughout the whole process. Things take time within the world of apprenticeship, so I think it's just getting comfortable with that and being patient and not pushing people too much, just genuinely being there to support them throughout the process. So sometimes it's took over a year to get certain clients on program from having that first initial meeting, but I'd like to think I'm not too pushy and getting onto people too much and asking for things. So just being there as a support network. I'd like to think all of my employers can come to me for apprenticeship related queries, even if they're not specific to MBKB, just to generally help them with everything regarding the world of apprenticeships, to be honest.
Definitely, yeah, that's very true.
As we're in the advice and reflection section of the episode, I always ask this question just to, I guess, make you think and see what comes to mind for you and other guests. But is there a question you wish we'd asked today?
Oh, off the top of my head, let's go with what my favourite TV series is. Because I love The Sopranos, and if I get any chance to talk about it, I will. So, yeah, it's probably a good job you didn't ask me about that.
That's a whole different episode in itself.
Mm. What was your favourite season of The Sopranos then?
I think the last season, to be honest. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but the ending's very controversial. Well, actually, I will ruin it. It came out in like 2009, so if you haven't watched it by now, you need to catch up, yeah. So at the end, they always talk about throughout the season that, because obviously they're gangsters, so when you get hit, you won't hear it coming. And Tony Soprano, the main character, says he thinks it'll just be like it cuts to black. And then the ending, they're in a diner and he's with his family and he's waiting for his daughter to come in. And the scene's very moody and it seems like there's about to be something that goes down. And then as his daughter walks into the restaurant, the screen just cuts to black. So when it first came out in 2009, millions of people in America thought that their TVs had gone out within the last moments of the show, which was at the time like Game of Thrones, like it was the HBO Sunday night special, like it was on every single week, tens of millions of people watching it, so it just cut to black. So, see, I told you shouldn't get me started about The Sopranos.
Yeah, I'll have to give that a watch. I haven't seen that yet. Where can we watch it?
I think it's on Sky, to be honest. Okay. But yeah, it is fabulous. Would definitely recommend that to anyone watching for sure.
Great stuff. And then finally, if you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice throughout your sort of professional journey, what would that advice be?
I think just to be persistent with everything. I have a tendency, I think, which is something I'm still working on, that if I'm not good at something straight away, I tend to want to give up and quit. As I get older, I realise that's not a good trait to have, so it's something I'm still working on for sure. But I think just being persistent with things and keeping on going, which ironically, when we talked about sport, is something I always did quite well in that aspect. But in my life, I think I do have had a tendency to stop things I'm not instantly good at. Whereas in the workplace, there's so many things to learn that you're never going to be good at something straight away. Even if you think you were originally, there's going to be things to learn off other people and different knowledges and experience that people have within the sector. So it's just learning from people and just having no ego with things and being comfortable saying, I don't know, but I'd like to learn.
Yeah, great advice.
Jack, we are now entering our Empower Hour, which if you've been watching, you'll know it's a recurring segment that we focus on empowerment, and it's designed to inspire us and our listeners as well.
Ooh. So, can we share a moment or a quote or a person that has made you feel truly empowered?
I think the main one that comes to mind is pressure is a privilege, which was said by Billie Jean King, because pressure means things are expected of you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'd go with that. There's also, on a slightly more upbeat note, Tiger Woods once said, don't get bitter, get better, which I think is good as well, on a similar note. So yeah, both of those.
Great quotes.
Cool.
For sure.
Yeah, I like that one. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Jack, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been brilliant hearing more about your career journey, your sporting interests, and the impact you're making here at MBKB.
Indeed. To all of our listeners, we really hope you've enjoyed this episode, and also a big thank you to everyone that is tuning in. We really do appreciate you joining us for another episode of MBKB Talks.
Be sure to follow us on TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, all of the socials to keep up to date on new episodes and our podcast clips.
Definitely, 100%. And don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And yeah, let us know who you'd also like to see in the future.
Thanks again, Jack.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.